Hey guys, welcome to the JW Untold Truth channel. So we already seen 10 series of this video of the things that Jehovah's Witnesses would deny. This is part 11. So let's have a look at number 21, governing body Leo Greenless. After the massive Watchtower purge, we saw many kicked out or dismissed without any reason. So we got the governing body Edward C. Chitty, gone. Governing body Fred Franks, gone. Jehovah's Witnesses Carl Olaf Johnson, gone. Entire body of elders from Sweden removed. Irish John May, Irish Martin Merriman, and dozens of Jehovah's Witnesses in Dublin as well by this time. But now we've got the governing body Leo Greenless as well. So by 1980s, the hemorrhage of Jehovah's Witnesses had slowed down, as we can see it on this graph of the Watchtower. As we can see, they had a peak, a little peak to the 100,000 intakes, and that was way better than before because they had a negative numbers back in the 1978s, but by the 1980s they had a little high peak of the intakes. But one more member was kicked out or dismissed. His name, as I already mentioned, was the governing body member Leo Greenless. He was removed in 1984 for unspecified reasons. But the rumors for his dismiss was because of Mark Palo. This Mark Palo was a Finnish-speaking child at Bethel by this time. But the rumors of his dismiss was because of Mark Palo. Mark Palo was a Finnish-speaking child at Bethel. But later he claimed that Greenless molested him. Palo was later denied entry at Bethel. This is interesting, as an adult. And several members of Bethel claimed that it was a common knowledge within Bethel that Greenless was asked to leave because he had abused more than one child in Bethel. If you're one of the Bethelites from Bethel back in these days, please let us know. Put some comments and let us know more information about this gossip or this rumor about Greenless, because there has never been an official or documented reason he was dismissed. And this scandal was dealt with in the organization and pretty quick forgotten with the dismissal of Leo Greenless. The interesting thing about the Watchtower is that the way they deal with all these scandals is to erase the person as it has never existed, even to our days. With the governing body Anthony Morris III, he was dismissed and erased from the JehovahWitnesses.org website with no reasons given to why he was dismissed and erased from the whole organization website. Number 22, replacement for 1975 for 1914. This is another thing that Jehovah's Witnesses will deny to the end. Let's have a look what happened here. Watchtower replaced the 1975 prophecy with a renewed focus on the aging 1914 generation that will not pass away. But this is how the urgency goes with the global preaching work. There's always the urgency of preach, 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 because the end is coming. It's inevitable. So in 1989, Watchtower struck an expansion goal idea. And we can see in this graph that after the uptick in 1980s, it just went right up again from the 1986, 1987, 1988, and 1989 as well. It went right up again. It's interesting how they worked that out with the surge of urgency of the end is coming and the preaching work. We must preach, preach, preach because the end is near. So in the graph chart, we can see how the Watchtower was increasing year after year in the 1980s. And the Watchtowers that they published throughout this year was perfect for this increase. We can see the Watchtower here, 1914, a marked year and why. The Watchtower 1914, a focal point of Bible prophecy. Another one, the Watchtower 1914, and you. And 1914, the generation that will not pass away. All this was a surge of urgency to preach, preach, preach. So this generation of the 1914 is quite interesting because the generation term for the Jehovah's Witnesses have had different meanings throughout the whole time of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, let's start with the generation. The year before 1914 started in 1878 and it ended in 1914. It's 36.5 years length for this generation and applies to the worldly people. Interesting, eh? We've got prior to 1951. This generation started in 36 AD and it ended in 1915. The length of this generation was changed to 1900 years, and it only applied to the anointed. But then it got changed again. Prior to 1995, the started date for this generation was in 1914, 2000, and it expanded to a lifespan, apparently, and it only applied to worldly people. Before 2011, again, the generation started in 1914, and then it had no end, and it became a two lifespan, the overlapping generation, and it only applied to the anointed people. The Watchtower understanding of this generation has changed constantly throughout the entire history of the Watchtower, both regarding who it applies to or the time frame as well. It is a classic example how the Watchtower applies a meaning to a scripture where it doesn't exist, that meaning. So with four different contradictory and sometimes regressive teachings between 1995 and 2000, this subject nullifies any reason to believe that the Watchtower excuse for changes as the light gets brighter. The light gets brighter means that it becomes more clear. It just adds more information. It does not mean that it will change the information. Makes the Watchtower look like they are guessing this doctrine. So instead of coming out saying we don't know from the beginning, they're just making things up. And to finish this video, I want to leave you with this Watchtower quote about the 1914 generation. It comes from the Survival into a New Earth book, 1984, page 184. Let's have a look what it says here regarding the light gets brighter. The countdown has proceeded for some 6 millennia, now nears its 0 hour. So close it is that people who were alive in 1914 and who are now well along in years will know all pass off the scene before the thrilling events marking the vindication of Jehovah's sovereignty to come past. Mark 13:30. So back in 1984, this generation was coming to a 0. It was about to finish. But how wrong was Jehovah about this information? Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and let's have a look what we can find for the next video.